Asking how much water your plant needs is a bad question. Light and temperature are the main two things that affect how much water your plant needs. And I don't know where you live. Plants really only care about getting their soil fully wet and then having to partially dry out. When I say fully wet, I mean you should water until the soil can't hold any more water. Just because my plant has drainage holes doesn't necessarily mean that it's fully saturated when the first drops come out of the bottom. But at some point, you should think, yeah, that's probably enough. It's probably enough. I said that's enough. All this water at one time isn't what's hurting your plant. Once the soil gets fully saturated, just let it dry out. If you're watering indoors with a little catch tray at the bottom of your plant, it's good to wait an extra 10 minutes to see if the plant absorbs any extra water from the bottom. That's how you know your plant wasn't fully saturated to begin with. But before I tell you exactly how many days you need to wait until you water your plant the next time, here are some other ways that you could water your plant that I don't necessarily agree with, but you can do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. These houseplant globes give a constant supply of water to your plant, and generally they won't be able to dry out any significant amount. These globes aren't really harmful to plants that love more frequent watering, something like a peace lily, but they can be very dangerous to plants that like long periods of dry soil, like a cactus, a succulent, or even a snake plant. If you've been watering your plant something like 1 cup of water a week, I'm gonna need you to stop doing that. I have some plants in my collection, like this one, that can handle 2 or 3 liters of water before anything even comes out of the drainage holes. Watering a small set amount on a never-changing schedule is absolutely never going to fully saturate your plant's soil. And remember, we do need to fully saturate the soil. If a half a cup of water every single week is your strategy, this is absolutely going to underwater your plant. The plant won't be able to take the nutrients from the soil and pull it up into the leaves. Let's talk about bottom watering. Bottom watering is exactly like top watering, except it takes 2 hours. Top watering gets a lot of water into your soil really quickly with the help of gravity, and it saturates your soil. Bottom watering gets water into your soil very slowly. It has to fight against gravity to fully saturate the soil. Your only job is to get your soil from fully dry to saturated. Top watering is like taking a bike downhill. Bottom watering is like doing a crab walk backwards, uphill, on sand in the winter. And you have bad knees. Bottom watering, some people say the plant takes what it needs, but when it comes to water, the truth is the plant just takes what you give it. And others say they bottom water to avoid fungus gnats because the topsoil doesn't get wet, but again, your soil is either fully saturated or it isn't. If the topsoil isn't getting wet when you're bottom watering, then you're probably chronically underwatering your plant. If you actually want to get rid of fungus gnats, one of our community Discord members, Our Terms, has made a detailed guide on every single way that you can kill fungus gnats, and she's ranked them from most effective to least effective. Click the link in our description to join our Discord and get plant help for free. If I were to actually bottom water one of my large plants, it would probably take, and then insert however many minutes, it is. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes, I don't know, maybe it's 5 minutes, whatever. I'm done waiting. It's been like 3 hours. When it comes to houseplants, there's only really 3 reasons why you should be bottom watering your plants. Number 1 is your plant might hate having wet leaves. For example, African violets have these fuzzy, almost velvety type leaves, and they're a lot more prone to holding water on their foliage, so that can expose them to bacterial infections much worse than other plants. The second is your soil is too compacted, and regardless of how often you water your plant, water just seems to roll off of the soil. Having your whole plant pot submerged in water can help with that, but what you really need to do is aerate the soil more or use a wetting agent like yucca extract, which kind of acts like a soap to have the water molecules attached to the soil better. Or the soil you're using is probably expired and you need to change it. And the only other acceptable reason to bottom watering is if it's convenient and you like it and it makes you happy. But I have to keep saying this, do what you want. I'm not your dad. So now that you know how much water your plant needs, how do you know when to water it next? There are 2 main ways, a moisture meter and a wooden stick. A moisture meter will tell you when your soil is dry, but depending on what's actually in your soil, they can be highly unreliable and they do break really easily. A wooden stick can be put all the way to the bottom of your pot, and when you remove it, a dry, clean stick means that the soil is dry and a damp stick with clumps of dirt attached to it means that your soil is still wet. I nor anyone else can point to a plant and say that you need to water this every 6 days because things like light, temperature, soil, pot size, pot type, plant health, plant age will all affect how frequently you need to water your plant. This pothos gets watered every 5 days when the soil is bone dry. And this pothos gets watered every 14 days when the soil is almost bone dry. Almost. You can actually control how quickly your soil dries out depending on how much orchid bark or perlite you put into your soil. And check out this video here to learn more.